Hey class, so I wanted to just take a minute to go over one of the exercises for week 4 for module 4 that could have been a little tricky, um, and just to make sure that everybody's understanding the concept. So hopefully you can see my screen here. So we were asked essentially to generate a list of staff members and a count of the number of rentals that they did. Okay. So essentially you're supposed to generate results that look like this. Okay. So we've got the first name, a column for first name, a column for last name, and the column for count, r.rental ID. All right. So in breaking these problems down when you're approaching them, the first thing that I like to do is just kind of figure out which tables we're going to use in the Sequila database and have a look at those tables and see what information is there. So let's see. We've got rental ID. I would guess that probably is in the table rental. So let's have a look at that. So, all right. So we see right there, yes, there is rental ID right there. Of course, I just lost my look at the output, but hopefully remember what that was. All right, so we wanted to have a column for rental ID. Then we also wanted to have a list of the staff members, and there were only apparently 2 staff members, and the number of things that they rented. Okay. So rental ID appears to be a record of a single rental that took place. And you can see in here that there's a staff ID listed, okay? And it looks like all these were rented by, it looks like 2 people. So only 1, 2. So let's have a look at the staff table. So we have a table for staff. As that is most likely what we'll be using. So let's have a look at that and see what's in there. All right, so we actually see that there really are only 2 staff members. So there's Mike Hillier and John Stevens. Okay, then thinking about the original content that we were supposed to, or the results that we were supposed to generate right from the query, we wanted the first name, their last name, and then another column with the number of things that they, a number of rentals that they, each of them did. So these guys are renting massive amounts of movies. I think it said something like 8 to 10,000 in one of them. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I like to, just as a practice for myself, I like to keep these up so I can go back and run these queries and refer to the original database anytime I want. All right, so first thing we want to do, well, you know, every approach can be different. I'm just kind of going through a way that I found kind of works for me to think these things out. So we wanted rental, let's see, first name, we want to call them for first name, last name, okay. Then we also wanted to count one for count, r.rental ID. So, okay, so let's say from first, we're gonna have to join up these information from these 2 tables. So let's go ahead and take care of the staff. So from staff, and we'll just alias that as staff S. Okay. And then let's do an inner join rental R. Okay. And so then the question becomes, what are we going to join these on? Okay. And we've already looked at the rental ID. We're assuming staff here, so there's a staff ID. And we believe that we actually saw staff ID present in the rental column. So we can actually join on these two. Okay. So s.rental_ID. We're going to join on that being equal to, oh, left off my on to use the correct syntax here, equals r.rental ID. All right. So let's go ahead and just run what we've got now and see what happens. Oops. What was my error here? Oh, duh, not rental ID. I'm sorry. Joining them on s.staff ID equals r.staff ID. Not, all right. By the way, I like to, when I'm doing, kind of longer queries, I like to run them in bits and pieces to make sure that each piece I'm adding produces something akin to what I'm looking for. All right. So we need to, let's see. So this is giving us a funky result here just from MySQL. Okay. We want it to actually give the result for everybody. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to run a group by clause, okay, to make sure that we are grouping according to the, let's see, we want to group by the staff ID. If we group by the staff ID, that's going to get us a count for each of the people in the staff. So it'll give us a, if we group by staff ID, okay. It'll give us a count for each staff member, okay. Each of these two staff members. Okay, so what we're doing is then we're aggregating this count. Okay, this count's going to aggregate the number of rentals for each of these guys. Okay, and the group by clause will enable us to attach that to each of the staff IDs. So, all right, so let's see what this gives us here. Oops. Oh, left off my. So good thing to note here, and you've probably already experienced this. Since we've aliased these, okay, staff ID is present actually in both tables that we're using. So it doesn't necessarily know which one. If you just say staff ID without referencing the table that it's aliased under, or the table that it's attached to, then it does know which one. And so it's not going to pull any results. It'll just throw an error. All right. So here we go. This is, I think that this is the results that we were supposed to pull. There may have actually been in reverse order. Oops. So if you're gonna do that and I think get the exact results, you might need to do an order by clause, and you could just do order by first name here. All right, I think without looking at it, I believe that that is actually what we were asked to generate. So anyway, I hope that that makes sense. Hopefully no one is struggling too hard over that. It really is just a matter of kind of getting the hang of what the group by clause does. And honestly, you just kind of have to use it over and over, and then that eventually starts to set in and feel intuitive. But anyway, let me know if you have any trouble with any other questions on the exercises. And otherwise, happy querying. So talk to you later.